Looking for a podcast where you can hear from some great hockey legends, hear them tell some great stories, find out what they're up to today? Well, this is it. It's the Domino's Pizza Overtime Podcast. I'm your host, Gino Retta. Today's guest, we're really lucky to got him. Three-time Stanley Cup champion, won the 2014 Conn Smyth as the playoff MVP with the LA Kings. He was so clutch, we came to call him Mr. Game 7. He's the NHL record holder for most career points in Game 7s. He's Justin Williams. Justin, thanks for being with us, buddy. Great to see you.
Howdy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for the intro. And man, I'm excited to be on the pod here too.
Oh man, it's great.
I got a legend that I'm talking to.
Oh yeah. Listen, it's
Look at all
great.
that vintage stuff behind you. It's beautiful. Look at that. Love it. That's awesome.
I know you got the Masters flag behind you though. Was that like, did you rip that off when you played there from 18, or what did you do?
No, I think I stole it. But no, I think I grabbed it from like a charity auction or something like that. I always start to pick around for stuff, and then eventually you get so much stuff that it just goes into a closet. So I got a simulator room now, and I just have it just draped along the walls and everything now. So
yeah, I want to ask you kind of. So here's a question I've never ever asked anybody. I've been working in sports now for 40 years, and I've never had this question because I couldn't ask it. You're a three-time Stanley Cup champion, one with the Canes and two with the Kings. You're Game 7, and just so people understand what I'm talking about there, you played 9 career Game 7s. You won 8 of them, and you hold the NHL record for 15 points in those Game 7s, which is crazy because that's when people say the guy always steps up when it matters the most, and that's what you did. So here's a question I could ask you that I can't ask anybody else. Which of those two, I'm not going to ask which is more significant to you, but which of those two are you more proud of? That you always came up huge when your teammates needed you the most, or the fact that you ended up with 3 cups?
yeah, interesting question, but I think the easy answer is the cups. And I think any player would give up anything individually. And I know there's a lot of players playing right now. They give up a lot of stuff individually just to get that ring, just to hold the cup over their head, just to have that opportunity to be a champion, to be called a champion. They give up a ton of individual stuff. So yes, am I proud of the Game 7 stuff? Absolutely. But I'm really proud of the rings that sit in my safe, and I take them out maybe once every year to look at them. But other than that, that's it.
You got to wear them once in a while, no? Or they're not.
I know. I got to get on TV more.
I want to really ask you about something because you had a quote which I thought was really, really interesting. And I've heard guys refer to this before, but never be quoted this way. Let me set the stage. You're inducted into the Hurricanes Hall of Fame, which was easy. You won the first ever Stanley Cup, and we'll get into that story later on about that because I was lucky enough to be on the ice when you guys were celebrating, and that was freaking awesome. When you got inducted, though, along with Rod Brindamore, Ronnie Francis, Cam Ward, and Glenn Wesley, you're the only guys at that point who were in. You had a quick comment you said, and I'm going to quote you. The quicker you can realize that you're not an NHL player anymore and that no one really cares about you anymore, that's the best way to move on. You're just Dad. You're just Justin. It's fine. It's just the evolution of playing hockey.
Yeah, it sure is. And you when you play hockey and when you play for a long time and you're kind of obviously put on this little pedestal, I guess, as a sports athlete, as someone who's revered, as someone that people look up to. And, when you're done playing, they don't, right? They say, oh, he's just, he used to play back in the day, and as the years go on, that becomes even more. It becomes way back in the day. And, it's just going to get even more. So, the quicker you can get comfortable with just being regular folk, not a hockey star or not a hockey player or not someone that's in the public eye anymore, the better off you are with moving on with your life. And some guys have a tough time with it. I certainly don't. I'm very comfortable with where I'm at. I coach my kids every day. I mean, I go to the hockey rinks, spend way too much time there. And you're just dad, and you're just one of the guys. And now I've slowly become even just a fan of the game of hockey. I see myself cheering a little bit more for the team that I work with, the Hurricanes here, and just becoming one of the regular people that watch the game and love the game of hockey.
But you're not a regular guy, Justin. That's the key. The funny thing I laugh about is about you're talking about your kids and coaching your kids. Your kids are 13 and 16,
Yep.
which means they're really too young to really understand the magnitude of what you did when you were doing it. So now you're coaching them, you're hanging around with them, and suddenly people come out to, oh crap, that's Justin Williams. Like I won 3 cups. Or do you ever have to work to, like I was talking to Matt Sendine. Let me give you this example. I was talking to Matt Sendine about 3 weeks ago, and he said, when I go back and do Leaf stuff, my kids go, holy crap, Dad, you were a big deal. Do you find moments like that where your kids go, I didn't realize you were such a big deal?
They unfortunately for me, I actually think that my kids were old enough. My son was born in 2008. He was carry the one. Yeah, he was 6 years old when we won the cup in 2014.
Yeah.
I retired in 2020, so he has a lot, certainly a lot of memories. Not a lot of memories of the great days, but he certainly has memories of me playing. My daughter has memories of me playing. I remember when I potentially played my last game. They both came in the dressing room, and they remember that, and I remember that moment very well too. They were sitting in the room with me, and just Roddy let them in, and he gave me a hug, and you have a little moment there that this could be the last time I'm in this in this room in full equipment, with my team, and your kids are there, and it was a real special moment, one that I'm always going to remember. And they had an opportunity to see some good things, and certainly by sometimes the way people approach me at the rinks nowadays, they realize, oh, okay, Dad can still sign an autograph every now and then. Someone still cares, and he was a big deal once upon a time. But Dad in the house is still just Dad in the house, not hockey player Dad.
All right, let's go back and talk about some of the great moments. Like I say, I had an opportunity to watch firsthand some of those great moments, but we should point out it was kind of a rough start for you, because when you got drafted by the Flyers, you were a first rounder by the Flyers. You didn't have a lot of luck. I mean, I'm talking about physical stuff. I think you broke your hand in your rookie season. You had a torn ACL, an MCL in your 3rd NHL season. You had surgery that kept you out for 4 months. When all that was going on as this young kid breaking into the NHL, what was going through your mind at that point?
Well, first off, when I did get drafted by Philly, I mean, this is 2000, right? This is still rough and tumble days. This is still big boy clutch and grab hockey. It's not what it is today, right? So, when I got drafted, I was a 6'1", 170 pounds, going to the Flyers. I said, well, didn't think this was going to happen, right? Going to the Flyers, but went there and strangely made it right out of training camp, and 3 months removed from playing OHL hockey for the Plymouth Whalers, I was starting lineup with Keith Primo and John LeClair. So it happened super quick for me. Yes, broke my hand, had a couple decent years, and then kind of caught the injury bug a little bit. With the ACL, MCL, as you said. And then, kind of had to move on once I got traded there from Philadelphia. But, it was big boys on the ice, right? And I had to find out, as you have to do as a young kid, you have to find out what you could do out there, what you can get away with. And what I could get away with in junior, I certainly couldn't get away with it in the pros. And there were some big boys looking to take your heads off. And it's something that I remember, something that helped me as I moved along. But certainly a learning curve, and especially for a lot of young players in the league now.
And we like to trademark the TSN turning point thing for us. When that for you is the trade to the Hurricanes, back-to-back 30-goal seasons in 05, 06, and 06, 07. In the playoffs in 06, he had 18 points in the playoffs. Let me take you back. I remember what that was like. We were flying back and forth between Edmonton and Raleigh.
You were on the ice, right?
Yes, I was.
Was that the most wild on ice celebration? There was so many people on the ice. I couldn't believe it.
It was crazy. It was crazy because they told us, okay, initially they're just going to let you guys on with the cameras and that'll be it, and it will be kind of quiet. And then like the families came on, which I'll tell you, I mean, obviously for you it was awesome,
Yeah.
but even as a broadcaster, to have you guys to be talking to you guys with your families right there was nothing better than that. That was the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was really cool when all the families came out there, and it kind of, yeah, a few years after that, I think we kind of made like the NHL do something about it because there were so many people on the ice, and I think the cup even got lost track at some point because I'd have buddies, I had friends who sent me a picture the next day of like, hey, look at this, and they were on the ice with the Stanley Cup in their hands, and I said, what? How did you get that? And they said, I don't know, I just said I grabbed it and take a picture. That was it. So
Yeah.
it just kind of got passed around to everybody on the ice. And I think after that, the NHL kind of was like, hey, let's make sure we have credentials when we get on the ice because like anybody was allowed out there.
Then all of a sudden there was these humongous press credentials. And even when we were doing the interviews, we had to keep wearing them because people had to know you were legit and not pretending stuff. Yeah. But let me take you back to game one versus the Oil.
Sure.
You guys were down 3 bagel.
Mm-hmm.
You guys tied it up. And then the dramatics of the third period shorthanded goal. For our audience who doesn't recall it, remind them of what that was like in that setting, that situation.
Yeah, just, I mean, pretty amazing. We got back. As you said, we were down 3-0 before we could figure out what was going on. The Oilers came into our arena and just, smacked us around the first couple of periods. But we eventually got one back, I think, late in the second. And then, did my goal put it ahead or tie it up for us?
You put it ahead initially, and then back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. So just killing a penalty shorthanded and kind of like a shorthanded penalty killer's dream, right? The puck comes out to the point and it's bouncing a little bit. It goes off a skate, and all of a sudden you see a free puck and you're skating for it and you got yourself a breakaway and you head in there and, put it in and it's pretty awesome when you can bring 20,000 people to their feet, and the jubilation, the excitement of that was awesome. And I remember that quite vividly.
And the empty netter in game 7 with 1 minute left too to seal it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're doing an Eric Stahl jersey retirement here in Carolina in January, and we were actually just talking about this the other day. And Eric and I definitely share a special memory in Hurricanes hearts after I, scored an empty netter and I turned around and he was the first one I saw there, and I jumped as high as he could and he was jumping as high as he could, and that was just a great moment that was captured with a great picture and one that I obviously remember and I have on my wall somewhere here, and I know a lot of Hurricanes fans do as well.
Listen, you were amazing in that. Your captain, Rob Brindamore, was amazing in that. But
yeah, he was. Yeah,
that was one of the. And listen, I grew up watching, the Jacques Plants and the Terry Sawchucks and all that. Those guys watching, but I don't know that I remember. I've seen some amazing performances, and I don't want to hyperbolize this, but Cam Ward, believable,
right?
In what like that year.
Yeah, when Cam Ward replaced Martin Gerber in starting game 3 in Montreal. So in the first round, we were down 2-0 to Montreal, going back to Montreal. And Cam Ward was given the start. Even the players were like, oh man, do we know, like, this is huge. And Laviolette had the wherewithal and the gumption to say, all right, I believe in this guy. And Cam Ward came in and when goalies just seem like they have it some games, and goalies have the ability to, I think, just send out a message to the players with how they play and how steady they are. And Cam was so composed for a young kid coming in game 3 in Montreal. Just so composed in the net, and he looked so calm, and he was just making saves that he should make, and then made some that he shouldn't have made, and really obviously springboarded us to getting a win that game. And then obviously the rest of the playoffs too, and him winning that Conn Smythe that year was just so well deserved, and a lot of guys are extremely thankful for his performance.
It was amazing. It was amazing celebration on the ice. It was great. The first Stanley Cup in franchise history, your first Stanley Cup. Then in March of 09, you get dealt to the LA Kings.
I did.
Yeah, Raleigh, North Carolina is a hockey market. It's not a hockey market, but they know their puck. Now you get traded to LA, where in Raleigh it was either college sports or you guys. But now all of a sudden you go to LA, there's the Clippers, there's the Lakers, and then there's the LA Kings. like Gretz had done a lot to elevate that franchise and stuff.
Yeah.
But what was it like for you as a player to walk out of a market where maybe it's not easy to walk along on the streets, but where you can go in LA and, to the point that we were making at the start of this, you're not really being recognized on the streets.
No, you're not at all. I mean, that would be obviously my third team. Started in Philadelphia, went to Carolina, then got traded to LA. And I remember in Philadelphia, it was kind of my first, we talked about the start of the show being like, okay, the moment nobody cares about you anymore, right? And when I was in Philadelphia, I remember the first time I got stopped for speeding in my new car, and the police officer came up and I gave him my license. He said, "Oh, Justin, new Flyers player. Hey, slow it down. Be on your way. Be safe out there." And I was just like, whoa, what was that? And then you go to Carolina and you go to LA and you can kind of just glide into obscurity, you can leave the rink, you can go out to any restaurants, you can do anything, and no one's really, they might know who you are, but they probably won't bother you because they're not sure. It's kind of a fly on the radar type thing, especially in LA. There's so much other stuff to do other than watching the LA Kings. Celebrities around, whatever, right? They just don't really seem to be impacted as much as maybe some other traditional hockey markets, but it was different, that's for sure.
Get ready for the game with the Domino's $8.99 mix and match deal. Score big with any medium 2-topping pizza and any 2 items like pastas, stuffed cheesy bread, boneless chicken, or classic chicken wings. Domino's has you covered. Order today from Canada's favorite pizza at domino's.ca.
You know what else is different? Daryl Sutter. And he's a buddy of mine. He and I have been buddies for a long time. And I always tease him because he gets that surly look on his face when he's behind the bench and that snarl, which he needs, but he's a completely different guy away from that. What was that? What was your experience like playing for Sutter?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit that pretty well. And that what you say kind of jogs memory sometimes, right? So I'll tell you a story. We had a game the night before, and geez, regardless if we won or lost, Sutter was pissed. Sometimes he's pissed when we win too, right? So it doesn't matter. So I'm going to preface it by just saying he was pissed regardless if we won or lost the night before, and really mad. And I think really mad at me. But the next day, we had a practice day, and I was like, let me bring in my son. He's 5. Families were always welcome there, and I walked in with him and holding his hand. He was 5 years old, and Sutter, was the first guy I saw walking through the door, and he instantly comes out, "Hey, Jackson, how you doing? Great to see you. Hey, Willie, good morning." And I was like, hey, all that stuff you said last night, we're good now, right? And he just, he had a different persona for game day and off day. And, he was able to turn off whatever he had on game day and, make it all about families and being welcome and, having kids at the rink. And, he loved having kids at the rink and having them be around the guys and make them feel welcome. And that was a really great thing, certainly for myself who had young kids at the time.
Yeah, and then ultimately end up winning your second Stanley Cup, your first with the LA Kings. That's the 2012 season, which was pretty awesome. But I want to get to 2014 because I thought 2014 was, all that did happen that almost didn't happen.
Yeah.
But the very start, when you guys were facing the San Jose Sharks, your rivals, and you guys were down 3 bagel in the opening round of the playoffs. I mean, there was so much promise from you guys. You were down 3 bagel. You guys were in a huge hole, and you had a pair of goals when you were facing elimination, allowing the Kings to become only the fourth team at that point in NHL history to come back from a 3-0 deficit.
We're the last team to do it, correct?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
For you, man.
Almost Edmonton last year. Almost Edmonton.
What's it like to be a part of something like that where you guys just, I mean, how much of the fact that you were almost completely out of it so early then go on to play a role in you guys making the rest of that run to your 2014 Cup?
Geez, you know what I think it was? I think it was the hockey gods from above were punishing us because in 2012, we played 4 series to win the Stanley Cup, and we were up 3-0 on every series we played. So I'm not going to say it was easy because it wasn't, but the 2012 compared to the 2014 just paled in comparison to how many games we had to play and the situations we put ourselves in. So being down 3-0 to San Jose, obviously tough, right? Did we expect to win? No. But did we think we could win? Absolutely. We still thought we could win, right? It's, in all due respect to San Jose, it's not as if they were a juggernaut of Stanley Cup winning pedigree. They had great players on that team, great players, but unfortunately for them, they weren't able to win the big one. And as that series got on and we won game 4 and then we won game 5, we felt that some doubt crept into that team, and we felt with our pedigree and our experience that we could perhaps overcome this. And everyone says one game at a time, one game. Yeah, it is. And it absolutely is. And you slowly put a little bit of pressure and a little bit of doubt into the other team's minds. And sometimes it comes to fruition, sometimes it doesn't. But the team that we had there just, Sutter said it great. We just weren't going to go away quietly.
And you didn't. And you ended up winning 4 straight with them, obviously, to survive and go on. So you beat the Sharks, you beat the Ducks, you beat the Hawks, and you had the Rangers in the Cup final. And it was your playoff performance that year. I mean, from a guy watching you play, and I watched you in your other 2 Cup finals, while you were amazing in those other ones, it was nothing like you were in this one. You had 25 points in 26 games. You ended up taking the Conn Smyth in that Cup final. Was that the best hockey? I mean, I almost feel silly asking this question, but was that the best hockey you ever played in your life?
Probably. I think under the circumstances, probably, yes. Obviously we had a terrific team. That team was built, Dean Lombardi, Mike Fuda, amongst many others. And that stretch of games, probably starting from when we were down 3-0 to San Jose, was great. We drew inspiration from each other, from everyone in the dressing room, and you draw on your experiences, and we had a great team, and we expected to win. But as far as I guess individually for me, I felt great on the ice. Things were happening for me, and I was able to score some big goals and some big moments for us. And, I truly believe that if I didn't do it, someone else is going to do it on that team. I truly felt that. And we had some great performances by some great players. And I wasn't sure I was going to win the Conn Smythe, that's for sure. We had Andrei Kopitar, who I think had more points than me. You always have Jonathan Quick. Drew Doughty had a great playoff. There were a lot of guys who were worthy of that. But I'm certainly so proud to have my name on that trophy.
It was an amazing run, and I don't know how you answer this question. And in fairness, I'm not really sure how to ask it. So let me figure out how I can do this. We always called you Mr. Clutch, Mr. Game 7, and every time you were in a Game 7 and you were in 9 of them, you like, it was crazy what you were able to do. And I'm always sitting down with analysts, and one of your coaches, Lavi's been one of my analysts, where I said, what was it about him? And I've talked to your other, Sutter, like, what was it about him? And they're at a loss for words. What do you think it was for you that brought out the best in you in those Game 7s? Because it just seemed like there were other guys who I've had guys on this podcast who talked about, hey, I'll admit, I was really nervous in that scenario. I was really nervous in that game, but it just seemed like you just had a different gear when it was Game 7. How did you become Mr. Game 7? What made that happen?
Well, I guess I'll preface my response and saying that the teams I was on were unbelievable. I was part of some unbelievable teams, and winning those Game 7s, a lot of them were a part of Stanley Cup Championship wins, right? They're not just randoms where you just win one. A couple of them were, but the best way for me to answer that question, and I've been asked it many times, what was it? Can you pinpoint it? The best way I can answer it is I always erred on the side of enthusiasm rather than apprehension. I didn't want to be. Sometimes you're so nervous that you crawl up into a ball and you can't actually go out and play because you're so darn nervous and you don't want to make a mistake. But I was on the other side that I said, I might make a mistake. That's okay. But I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give my best, and I'm going to throw myself out there and give myself an opportunity. And I knew I wasn't the best skater. I wasn't the guy who had the best shot. I wasn't the best player on the ice. I knew all those things, but I thought, you know what? For one game, I'm going to try to be. And that's kind of what I had. I'm out there with, all these other great players. You're out there against Patrick Kane. You're out there against, Patrick Marleau, Joe, whoever, right? And you're just like, they're better than me. I know they are. But for this game, I want to be that guy. And I want to be the guy that makes a difference. And I just went out there and gave it a whirl.
Unbelievable. All from a guy from Cobourg, right? You're from Cobourg originally?
That's right. Hour east of Toronto.
Hour east of Toronto, small town. For those listening, not sure where Cobourg is. Guy goes on to win 3 Stanley Cups, a Conn Smyth winner, Mr. Clutch, and also represented Canada twice at the Worlds. You had, I think you had a couple of golds, right? In 04 and 07?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We did.
Got a jersey.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was neat. I played 3 of them, won 2 gold medals, which is great. One in Russia and one in Prague. They were pretty great moments too. You meet a lot of great people in that, and you have a lot of fun in those world championships. And I'm glad I was able to get over there and experience some of them, even though you want to be playing in the NHL playoffs. We won the cup in 2006, and then the next year we missed the playoffs. And then, I was able to go over to Russia and at least win something that year.
Listen, man, I can't tell you, it's been a long time since you and I had a chance to chat. I can't tell you how much it's meant to me to catch up to you. And now I have the definitive answer of what made you Mr. Game 7. It was enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to be able to use that all the time.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Hey, listen, before you take off, we do a thing we call 5 Fast Facts, where I ask you 5 quick questions. You give me the first thing that comes to your mind. You up for playing it?
I'll give it a go.
All right, time now for 5 Fast Facts with 3-time Stanley Cup champion Justin Williams. Justin, who was the best teammate you ever played with?
Rod Brindamore.
No, wise, because you're still in contact with him. That's smart. Who's the best coach you ever played for?
Oh, man. Oh, I can't do that.
Yes, you can. Absolutely, brother. Come on.
Oh, I can't do that. Oh, Sutter.
Fair enough. After all your success,
I hated him at times, though. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of hating, let me ask you this. Our third question. Who did you hate playing against the most?
Chris Pronger.
Because?
I was quick. He always knew where to get you. He just always knew where to get you.
And his elbows were just at the right height.
Yeah, right at my chin.
Listen, after all your success in your career on and off the ice, what's a single piece of advice you would give to yourself as a 15-year-old if you had a chance to go back and say, hey, kid, this is something you need to know right now?
Probably take care of yourself, stretching wise, that type of thing. Like these kids nowadays, they come in and they know it right away. But back then I didn't stretch at all. Didn't really take care. I mean, I certainly worked out, but just the stretching and doing that type of stuff, I think I could have avoided some injuries that I potentially could have had.
That's a good tip for me. People always tell me I'm supposed to stretch too. So maybe
have some yoga.
I can't even, like, I watch people doing yoga and I'm like, that looks way too freaking painful. Let me start stretching, okay, Justin?
Yeah.
All right, final question. If you hadn't become a pro hockey player, an extremely successful pro hockey player, what career do you think you would have done instead?
Oh God, I feel like I would have been in sports somewhere, but I mean, I love golf. I'd love to be in the golf business. I also love to cook too, so maybe I could have owned a restaurant.
Wow, pretty cool. That's my fast facts with Mr. Game 7, Justin Williams. Justin, thanks for this, buddy. You know what I like? I like the fact that at the end of it all, even after your little run with the Caps there, you wanted to finish your career with the Carolina Hurricanes. How important was that for you to do that, to wrap up your career with the Canes?
When I became a free agent, I was later in my career, we always loved Raleigh, and I thought this would be a great place to raise a family, to set up some roots. I really liked it. And when found out in free agency that there was mutual interest, I went for it. And Carolina at the time was going through a real rough patch. I think, 9 straight missed playoff years. So it was tough for me to see because I'd seen Carolina so great and how good it could be. And, I see it today and the amount of sellouts that we have and stuff. And I'm happy that I could have a small part in helping Carolina get back to where I knew it could be. So that was an important thing for me.
Justin, thanks so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. You look like you're in great health. Go out and stretch, do some yoga.
Yeah, I will for my golf game later.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Yeah, you bet. Take care.
Three-time Stanley Cup champion, Conn Smyth Award winner, Mr. Game 7, Justin Williams. The Overtime Podcast is proudly presented by Domino's Pizza and Athletes Care. If you're watching the big game at home or hungry right now, Domino's has you covered. Check out the Domino's Mix and Match deal. Medium 2-toppings pizzas, pastas, stuffed cheesy bread, boneless chicken, or classic chicken wings. Any 2 items for only $8.99 each. Canada's favorite pizza at Domino's.ca. Athletes Care is proud to be celebrating its 26th year, offering sports medicine services to both elite athletes and the general population who require rehab for a new or chronic injury or pain. Go to where the best go. Athletes Care Sports Medicine Clinics with 26 locations in the Greater Toronto Area and Ottawa. If you missed any parts of the show, don't worry. Visit our website at overtimepodcast.ca. The Domino's Pizza Overtime Podcast can be found on Spotify, iTunes Podcasts, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. As well, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at O-Time Podcast. Until next week, I'm Gino Retta, saying so long, hockey fans, and thanks for joining us on the Domino's Overtime Podcast.